Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Angel Storm. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm doing a little bit of a different video than my normal videos today. I was recently speaking with a client and it was towards the end of our session, and she had said something, and she's going through a divorce, and she had said something about her failed marriage, and I really felt like what she was talking about was something that a lot of people have felt, and I want to kind of just address it. So from two different aspects, I guess. So number one, when a marriage doesn't work out, it doesn't mean that the marriage failed. Sometimes we're in relationships that we are not meant to be in, and getting out of that relationship is the healthiest thing that you can do for yourself and for the other person. And definitely if you have children together, it's the healthiest thing that you can do. And this is especially true for relationships where there's abuse happening. Emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, financial abuse. It doesn't have to be physical abuse. You should not live in a situation and raise children in that type of environment. You need to do something different. And if counseling is not working, if getting help is not working, you need to know that you have an option to leave. That is an option. And it saddens me to think about the religious pressure and construct that people have put on other people, and making them stay in situations where they're being abused and their children are witnessing the abuse because of these religious rules. I absolutely hate that. Number two, if your relationship didn't work out, and let's say that the marriage should have worked out. Let's say that that was really the person you were supposed to be with and it didn't work out. Even then, we don't have the right to put onto somebody what the blood of Jesus already covered. You don't have the right to make somebody feel guilty for something and tell them that their marriage failed or that they were part of a failed marriage when that's not how Jesus sees them. And we have got to get away from this religious guilt and shame that we put on people. You know that is also its own trap. Instead of setting people free, you're actually pushing them deeper into the place that they came out of. And especially in situations where one of the people maybe really wanted the marriage to work. They can't force another person to stay in a relationship. And so for all of those reasons, I really wanted to do this video and talk to you just a little bit about failed marriages or failed relationships in general. One of the other questions that I get asked a lot, and I wanted to kind of incorporate it into this video, is do empaths have as much responsibility for the relationship with the narcissist not working out because they react to the narcissist and the narcissist feelings and what the narcissist is saying because they can feel them so strongly, as opposed to, processing them in a healthy way and then responding appropriately. So is the narcissist just as much to blame as the empath, and the empath as much to blame as the narcissist, is essentially the question. And in a relationship of any type, you are 100% responsible for your actions. You are 100% responsible for your actions, but you are not any percent. You're 0% responsible for the actions of the other person. You cannot control another person. That's manipulation. That is using what you have seen the narcissist do to try to get your way or to try to force your outcome, instead of just understanding that you're only responsible for yourself. And that is where your responsibility ends. Where the other person's responsibility begins, yours ends. And you crossing that boundary goes into control and manipulation. And it's not okay to do that, ever. That's violating somebody else's sovereignty. Everybody here on this planet has their own choice. They are sovereign beings. You don't get to move them because you think that they would be better over here. If they're asking for your advice, you can give it to them. If they're trying to get out of a situation that they know they shouldn't be in, you can help them. But you can't force them. You can't make them do what you want them to do just because you know that that's the right answer for them. They get to make their own decision. And so no matter who's in a relationship with a narcissist, you are still 100% of the time responsible for your actions, even when you're with a narcissist, because you always have an option. You always have an option. Even if you think, I could never leave, I don't have a way out, I can't do this or that, you are the one who's putting those limitations on your own self. Your mind is what's dictating your actions. Your thoughts are dictating what you do or do not do. And you need to understand that as soon as you're the one who lifts off those restraints, you can either leave and make a different choice, or you can continue to stay in that relationship, but call it for what it is. Say it what it is. If you're going to make an unhealthy choice, call it what it is. I'm making an unhealthy choice by staying. And I'm going to be honest with myself about that. Stop lying to yourself. I often have this conversation with my clients and sometimes with my friends too. And something that I've come to realize is that if you will be honest with yourself, you'll never lie to me, and you'll never lie to somebody else. A lot of times people who are lying believe that lie. They believe, I can't afford it. That's a poverty spirit, by the way. Stop saying that. Say, I have other priorities that I need to put my money into. Same thing with time. I don't have time for that. Say, I have other priorities that I'm putting my time into right now. Call it for what it is. Those things do not control you. Your money, your time, any kind of thing that is not inherent to you, that is not intrinsic to you, you control. Those things don't control you. So kind of coming all the way back around now to talking about a failed marriage. And especially a failed marriage with a narcissist. Stop calling it that. The marriage served a purpose. There was a purpose for that period of time, and you need to find the lesson in that. And stop calling it a failed marriage. That's not what it is, and that's not how heaven sees it. Heaven sees that marriage underneath the blood of Jesus. And to look at it from any other angle is to say that Jesus didn't do enough, or that his blood isn't enough for your mistake, for your situation that you were in with this marriage. Because again, maybe you really wanted it to work and it really wasn't your fault. Maybe you did 100% of the necessary actions that you could control. If you did, well then guess what? It's not your fault. And even if you're looking back and you're saying, I could have done this or I should have done that, and there were things left undone, you are not the holder of time. You are not the holder of time. You need to let that go and accept responsibility and take that lesson and apply it moving forward. You can't move backwards. You can't move backwards. If it's possible and you feel like you want to try to make amends or apologize to the person or whatever, fine, that's great. But you still can't change what the outcome of that situation. So instead of carrying around the weight of the failed marriage for the rest of your life, put that under the blood and continue moving on. Take the lesson, move forward. To stay living in the past while time is moving forward and we're all living in the present and you're still living back there is again a disservice to the Creator, the one who made you, the one who gave you time to steward. Religion will always make it about rules, but relationship with God will always make it about love, always. And so if you don't have an understanding of true agape love, then you need to do some research into what that looks like. Because a lot of times what we've been calling a certain thing is not at all in line with the way that God sees it. And this is so unfortunate because we were created in his image to do a job here. And too many of us are stuck in the past thinking about what could have, would have, should have, and we're not moving on. We're not taking that lesson and applying it forward. Think about the situation that you're in now, if this applies to you, what I'm talking about, if this was one of your children who had gone through this, if this was one of your kids who have been in a relationship, got married, the relationship was toxic, it was abusive, and they decided to get out of it, right? And they went through a divorce. Would you look at that child for the rest of its life as a failed person, as somebody who had a failed marriage? Was that the label that you would put on your child? Of course not. So why are you doing it to yourself? Why are you modeling that behavior for your children? Stop calling it a failed marriage. Stop calling yourself a failure at relationships. Stop taking on those labels. That is not meant for you. So I just break off those words. If you believe those, I cancel them. I put them under the blood. I put your situation under the blood. You guys, please take authority over your situation. Please take authority over what words have been spoken over you. Don't let those labels stick to you. They'll start creeping into your thoughts and the way that you think about yourself, the way that you think about life and your future. So again, the two things that I want you to take away from this video are to be aware of the words that you're speaking over yourself and the labels that you're putting on you, on your perception of what has happened in your relationship, and especially with your relationship with a narcissist. And also be aware that you are 100% of the time, 100% responsible for your actions in any type of relationship. 100% of the time, you're 100% responsible for your actions in any relationship, and you are 0% responsible for somebody else's actions in a relationship. So what the narcissist did or didn't do, that there is no way that you could have said the right thing, done a different thing, or in any kind of way coerce them to do something else. Nor should you even be thinking that way. Nor should you even be thinking about how you could have manipulated them to do something else, to try something else, to do the right thing in whatever situation you were in. If so, be free of any of that guilt. And if you didn't, still be free of the guilt, because there's nothing you can do moving backwards. Your past is redeemed in your future. Your past is redeemed in your future. You need to take the lessons of the past and apply them moving forward. So I know this is a different video than I normally do, but it just dawned on me that a lot of people are walking around thinking of themselves as people who are in failed marriages, or that this label of divorce is like what's going to define them for the rest of their life. And it only does that if that's what you want it to do. It only does that if that's what you want it to do. Quite honestly, that label is just not part of your true identity. Get rid of it. I hope this video has helped you. You guys, if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do so by clicking on the little bell so that you're notified whenever I upload a new video to this channel.